Okay, so we're gonna show you how to do, well, actually how we can do stuff in RAW that you can't really do in JPEG. So what we're gonna do is I've got my photo open. This is actually in RAW. If you look over here, my other screen, we are looking at this guy right here. This is the image that's already done. Now I shoot a JPEG and a RAW file at the same time. Just so I can do quick and dirty stuff sometimes, I guess. So we go back over here. This guy is opening up. So straight out of the camera is a JPEG. The image looks pretty decent. It could use a little work, but the thing is, you doing it in RAW or doing it in JPEG, it's really hard to do any highlight and shadow work, which is especially hard on a day like this where it's pretty cloudy. So what we're going to do is we'll get rid of this one, and here is our RAW file already opened up. So if we look here in our RAW file, everything is just blank, and if you look at it, a RAW image is really dull. There's not I mean, even the contrast, pretty much you don't realize how much your camera really does to an image, but it gives you so much control over what you can do. We can easily change the white balance after the fact instead of doing it in the camera. We can go over here. You can change the exposure just like you would on the camera with exposure compensation or whatever. So we can bump this guy up or whatever. But probably the best thing you can do in RAW is, I mean, you can do shadows and highlights and everything with a JPEG, but if you do it in RAW, you don't end up with the stupid halos and everything like you do with a JPEG. So, I mean, we can see independently, you can see the big difference as I slide the highlight slider up. But at the same time, we're not really losing anything else. There's no halos, there's nothing. So we can take those highlights all the way down. We can make that sky a little darker, which really helps out on the cloudy day shots. And at the same time, we can bump the shadows a little bit. And that's just going to bring out everything that we really want to see. So actually, we're going to slide it a lot. So this is almost going to be like an HDR image that we're doing after the fact, because we're darkening. We're underexposing the highlights and overexposing the shadows. We can also come in here and we can adjust the blacks a little bit. That doesn't really. That's almost like contrast, which actually will bump the contrast just a fuzz. Just a fuzz. We come down here in the saturation. Just move that up just a tiny little bit. Vibrance and clarity. And then our shadows, I mean, it's still a little dark. So we're probably, if we do it too much, I think it's really washed out. We don't want that. So we want to bring that back a little bit. And then probably what we're going to have to do is go in and do some selective stuff once we get into Photoshop. Once we get out of the RAW editor here, which is Nikon's. We can also come in here at the same time. Your camera also sharpens images. You don't even realize that. So we can come in here, add some sharpening. That'll help out. I mean, we've got our histogram and everything. I am not one to really use a histogram, honestly. If you do know how to use it, I mean, it can help a lot. Like right there, that's actually helping a ton. We can slide it up a little bit. That helps the foreground, makes it pop a little more. Add some sharpening. We'll come back here, add a little more contrast, and actually, we've got a very nice image right there. None of that's very hard, but you can do it a lot better than you can in if you're editing a JPEG. Really, I should bring these back down that way, back to the left, but we're not going to worry about that right now. open it up. Here's what we got. That was actually an image from Carrie the other day. If it loads. Working. There we go. And that's actually a pretty usable photo. So that's how you do RAW.